Okay, first I want to say that I'm going to sign and talk at the same time so that you can still understand what I mean. But I just want to say first that this semester I have learned so much from you. And I know that it was a harder class than I'm used to having, but having to discuss so much every week and talk to different people about different topics that are hard really helped me understand the deaf world better. The first topic that really stood out to me was the topic about ASL teachers have to be deaf or that hearing people can't teach ASL because I had Ashley for ASL 1 and 2, and I can say that she really helped my experience in my ASL classes because if I had walked into the class the first day and I had a deaf teacher, I would have been scared to death. And I think it really helps hearing students understand that a hearing person can have really good sign language. I mean, maybe not as good as a deaf teacher, but still good. And I also think that it helped me to kind of have a mentor throughout my ASL minor because when I started my ASL 3 class with Mina, I wasn't really scared, but I was like nervous because I knew ASL, but I didn't know if I knew enough to get by in the class. And that class wound up being really good. And now, like, since I've had deaf teachers, it's helped me understand deaf people more and why they think the way they do and why they sign a certain way. Because in Mina's class, I noticed that I picked up on signs that she did. And now in Sylvia's class, I picked up on signs and the way she did them. And it just helped so much. Like, after your ASL 1 and 2 classes, if you have a deaf person to help teach you, because how are you going to interact with the deaf community if you're never around deaf people? The other topic that I wanted to talk about was the genetic design. Why? Because I don't think it's okay for a person to change the genetics of their children because they want them to be deaf. That one video with the man who said he changed his child's hearing to deaf because he wanted his child to be like him and his wife. I was so mad, and I just felt like I was wondering why a person would do that and why they would want to change their child to be deaf like them. But then I looked at it through a hearing person's viewpoint, and I was like standing in their shoes to see, like, if I had a deaf child, then I'm not really sure what I would do about it, but from like other people in the world, I feel like they would do everything they could to change their child to be hearing so that they would be like them, or that they wouldn't have communication problems growing up, in the school, going to college, in the workplace. And that video just, oh, I was so mad and frustrated and upset. Oh, it was everything. And something else that helped me this semester was reading the book, because I volunteered at Auburn School, I think it was last semester, for my psychology class, because I needed community service hours. So I went to that school because the interpreter could not be at school every day. So I went and helped him. He was only in kindergarten, and I had talked with Ashley about it, and my mom teaches at that school, and she worked with him in math. So I talked to Ashley, and Regina was going to help some too, but she got sick in the middle of the semester and couldn't help. But I went to that school and I sat in the classroom with him, and it was really hard to interpret for him. Why? Because he didn't know a lot of sign language, because his parents didn't sign, they just voiced, and they didn't know much. So I talked with Ashley some more, and now this year he's going to Danville to the school for the deaf, and he loves it. And that really showed me what I can do to help kids, because I'm an elementary education major and I want to use ASL in my classroom. I know this semester I've had problems with everybody complaining a lot about the discussions and the case problem scenarios, but those really helped me see from a different perspective. It was like I was changing sides, and it helped me see what other people think and think about who all of this problem impacts every day. Like, if an interpreter was in a school and had to interpret for a girl that wanted to meet a boy and have sex between classes or something, I think that would be so hard not to tell them what to do or get emotionally involved in the people's lives that you're interpreting for. I mean, my dream would be to be an interpreter, but I can't go to Louisville, University of Louisville, to go major in ASL so I can become an interpreter in the future, but I want to use it in my classroom. So I'm trying to do all I can to learn everything about ASL. This summer, I was talking with Holly Bean in the lab the other day, and she asked me what I was doing this summer. So I told her nothing, not much, just working at WKU. And she said, well, if you're not doing anything, I know you love to work with kids, so this summer there's a deaf camp in Lebanon Junction, Kentucky. It's about an hour and a half from Bowling Green. So I got on the internet and looked it up to see how far away it would be or what I needed to do in order to enter in to be a helper or a counselor. So I filled out the paperwork, sent it in the mail, and I'm just waiting for a response from the camp. I'm so excited. But I really want to thank you for pushing us this semester. I know that people have complained a lot, and some of it has been hard. Like, I was not expecting to have to discuss so much on the internet or look at different situations in a different way, because last semester my deaf culture class was really easy. So I guess I was thinking that this would be the same way, but it wasn't. And I learned a lot, but I think for people who just want the minor, maybe in the future dumb it down a little bit, because we're just trying to get our BA degree, and we're not like in a master's class or anything like that. And I mean no disrespect, I respect you so much, and I thank you for everything you've done this semester. That was the only thing I could really think of that would help, is not have so much discussion and maybe push back the due date on papers or anything else to like midnight or something, because sometimes people get messed up on what time and they miss it, or there seems to be a lot of problems with that. But I really enjoyed your class so much, and I thank you for everything you've done.